Taxes fiscal management. Things to know. How and when close company accounts. Closing its accounts, whatever the legal form of the company, is an accounting, tax regulation, and legal obligation. Management needs to evaluate the assets and results of the company and to declare the tax on the company's results. When creating a company, the creator must indicate on the articles of association the closing date of his accounts. It is possible to close accounts on any date in the calendar year and even during the month. Duration of the exercise. The law requires companies to close their accounts each financial year. When a company is newly created, the tax administration gives it the possibility to close its accounts within 24 months of creation at most during 2 calendar years. This means that a company must close its accounts for the first time no later than December 31st of the year following the year of its genesis. What is the legal framework referring to the keeping of accounts? 1. The Commercial Code. 2. The Accounting Law. 3. The Law on Public Limited Companies. 4. The Law on Private Companies. 5. The Limited Liability Companies Act. 6. The Penal Code. 7. The Deir of Obligations and Contracts. 8. The General Tax Code. What is the legal accounting deadline for closing the accounts? According to Article 18 of the Accounting Law, 1. The financial statements must be prepared, except in exceptional circumstances justified in the statement of additional information, no later than 3 months after the end of the financial year. 2. The date of preparation of the summary statements is mentioned in the supplementary information statement. According to Article 23 of the Accounting Law, the accounting obligations of traders also stipulates that the tax authorities may reject accounts not kept in the form prescribed in this law. Legal deadline for the tax return for closing the accounts. According to Article 20 of the General Tax Code, relating to declaration of taxable income and turnover, companies, whether taxable or exempt from corporation tax, with the exception of non-resident companies, must send to the tax inspector of the place of their registered office or principal place of business in Morocco, within 3 months following the closing date of each financial year, a declaration of their taxable income based on a printed form, on the model provided by the tax administration. And, according to Articles 145 and 213 of the General Tax Code, the obligations of any company to comply with accounting rules and the serious irregularities that may lead the administration to question the probative value of this accounting. According to Article 72 of the Public Limited Companies Act, at the end of each financial year, it draws up an inventory of the various assets and liabilities existing at that date, and draws up the annual summary statements, in accordance with the legislation in force. According to Article 104 of the Public Limited Companies Act, after the end of each financial year and within 3 months, the Executive Board shall submit to the Board, for verification and control purposes, the documents referred to in Article 141. The legal schedule of a limited liability company closing its accounts on December 31st. No later than June 14. Convene the shareholders to the annual ordinary general meeting and send the management report, the summary statements and the text of the proposed resolutions to the shareholders. No later than June 30. Hold the ordinary general meeting of the company to approve the accounts for the financial year ending. No later than July 31. File the annual summary statements with the clerk of the commercial court. Legal schedule of a public limited company closing its accounts on December 31st. No later than March 31st. Meeting of the Board of Directors or the Management Board that approved the financial statements to convene the annual ordinary general meeting. This board shall be convened within the time limits and in the forms provided for in the Articles of Association. No later than April 14. Communication to the auditor of the summary statements for the financial year and the management report for the same financial year. No later than June 14. Invitation of shareholders and the auditor to the annual ordinary general meeting by notice to be inserted in a legal announcement journal or by registered letter with acknowledgement of receipt, if all the shares are registered. No later than June 30. Holding of the ordinary general meeting of the company to approve the financial statements for the financial year ended. No later than August 31 filing with the clerk of the commercial court the annual summary statements and the auditor's report. Applicable time limits and legal deadline by the public limited companies. Pre-closing in November of the current year. During December, physical inventory of assets and liabilities, inventory, fixed assets. Closing of accounts between January and February in the year A+1. Intervention of auditors between mid-February and mid-March in the year A+1. Preparation of summary statements no later than March 31, in the year A+1. Holding of the meeting to approve the accounts no later than June 30 in the year A+1.